Hi, my name is Lisandra,
Hi, my name is Ivan Gutierrez.
And my name is Sierra.
and this is the conversation station where we like to talk and compare books. Today we're comparing Maggie and Hester from the book Scarlet Letter and Maggie, a Girl of the Streets. Overall, what did you guys think of the book?
In the book, it's pretty good work of literature. I think it emphasizes the struggles that people of their time had faced. Ones of poverty, ones of stress, ones of violence, ones of all these things, conversations and topics that I think our modern world wants to avoid, but ones I think we all kind of need to focus on in some manners. And so I think that those two books do it in a pretty good way. Ones I think readers could get the hang of it and easily understand.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the both books they both really represent how women were treated back then and maybe still now in different parts of the world. Um but yeah, I feel like it also both books are really similar but different at once and their environments. So
Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I think, like you said, they were both really different in their own ways, but also had some similarities. Like their like love lives and how um how like Hester was with Dimsdale and she just kind of kept that secret from him from her daughter Pearl, and how like he was the father and everything. And like you also said how like back then it was really different, and compared to now it's a really different, yeah. So what were the conditions that Maggie and Hester were living in? Because they were really different, and I know that Maggie had is in poverty and faces abuse, while Hester is like ashamed by committing adultery, and that's why Hester has to have that letter on her all the time, and in a way she kind of like made it her own and like her unique self. But I don't know, what do you guys think of that?
I feel like both Hester and Maggie they both in a way kind of lived in similar environments by the way how people viewed women, but Hester, she lived more in I feel like it didn't really mention it in the book, but I'm pretty sure she was pretty financially stable in the beginning of the book. um and while Maggie, she lived more in poverty and abuse. But I feel like both they were both kind of isolated a lot, especially Hester after what people found out about her committing adultery. So
I was probably thinking the same thing. Conditions, I think they allows the stories or the events of the story to happen in the first place. So, as Sierra had mentioned before, Maggie faces poverty, faces all of these kind of things that leads her to a life of misery and kind of hell, per se. That she's kind of like a broken person, whilst Hester really isn't like poor or like on the streets as Maggie is, but it's more of misery in the sense that what she did, unlike Maggie, where she didn't do anything wrong. But Hester, you could say, well, especially at the time, she did something wrong, in committing adultery and having you know intercourse with a pastor. But I think they're very similar. Yeah, they're both negative toned, but what they do are a little different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. Um, but also like their consequences for their actions and themselves and others, like Maggie, because of the fact that she's poor, and it wasn't like Maggie's fault because she ended up growing up in that like household and everything. But it like also made like her lead to decisions the way that she ended off as well, how she was like basically a prostitute and everything. And it just seemed really sad to like see her like that at the end, and yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Hester kind of got her happy ending at the end. She was like she lived off with Pearl and like inherited all the money from, was it Dimsdale? Yeah, from Dimsdale, right? And while Maggie, like she, well, didn't have the same happy ending. She ended up like, like from her environment, we don't really know what happened, but most likely like since she was basically living in the streets, she probably just like died or something from like no food or something. But yeah.
And by the way, this video is sponsored by Lay's. Are you stressed for finals? Lay's is a good snack to snack on while you're studying, and especially right now for finals, because we know that we all get a bit hungry when studying and need to make sure we have a tasty snack with you at all times. So that's when Lay's comes in and makes your studying less of a hassle. Lay's are easy to grab, crunchy, and honestly just makes study breaks better. So thank you, Lay's, for sponsoring this video. Yeah, and then just kind of like I said in the beginning, like their love lives and how, Maggie wasn't dating like a really great guy, and he's not it.
Their love lives, because if we're talking on the instance of Maggie, she dates this guy, Pete, who's a, how do I put it? As I've said in the class, an alpha male basically. He mentions himself as this big. He's like this,
It's like
has,
ego
yeah,
is,
it's has his
yeah.
all everything, and obviously he's not. So that in some way leads Maggie to have like being blind to this issue, which is unfortunately common among people. And I don't like saying this, but common amongst women who are in the positions of her, that they will go to anything for gain. I don't like saying that
Yeah.
publicly, but it's one reality that,
No, yeah, that's true because there's a lot of girls that'll just be like not like desperate, but in a way kind of like you said, it's
yeah,
just
it's
not.
one reality to it. But and then we look at the story of Hester. A little interesting because obviously she's already a married woman, kind of married to kind of a creep, but not in front of Maggie, not Maggie, Hester, to Dimsdale because
Mm-hmm.
opening his chest and stuff. So
Right.
in the mentionings of Roger Chillingworth, but her love life, I guess, with Dimsdale, even though he is a pastor, is one that I think is extraordinary, but also kind of cherishing because I think Dimsdale cares about her, cares about his biological daughter in Pearl, and so I think that's one I think we don't really see a lot in our modern world because usually when you're estranged, you don't really. At least the perception is you don't really care about your children, but Dimsdale probably has that compassion inside of him. I think it's one of like kind of is cool and nice to see in our lives.
Yeah, in some way. But but overall we all really liked the book, and I think it was very different, but at the same time they both had like different like love lives and how they grew up and everything. But overall, I think I would give both of them like an 8 out of 10. I don't know.
I would give Scarlet Letter like an 8.5% out of 10. Then Maggie Girl of the Streets probably an 8, maybe 7.5 because of the sad ending, but overall it's a pretty good book to read.
I feel like Scarlet Letter, I would give it like an 8 out of 10 too. And Maggie, a Girl of the Streets, I liked it more actually. So I'll give it a 9.5 because I feel like it's also like more realistic. So yeah.
But yeah, overall, thank you for watching. My name is Lisandra,
My name is Ivan Gutierrez.
And my name is Sierra.
and we are the Conversation Station. And thank you. Bye.